I thought when I came to the class, just being a class on race and gender, that was going to be a write-off. I had a monopoly on that discussion, and I mean, after all, I am a black woman, so.
I didn't know that so many white people were so clueless as they were. I didn't realize how so many black and Latino and African American students were as angry as they were. And I didn't know they ignored Asian Americans as much as they did. And so it was good to be able to see everything for what it is.
I know at the beginning, I was constantly, whenever I was talking, I was censoring what I was saying because I didn't want them to think, isn't that just a typical white woman thing to say?
The storytelling class empowers the group as a group. It does this by giving people a voice that is impossible to categorize.
By this time, Rebecca was only a part of our family on the rare occasions when she chose to join us.
People are so surprising. You just don't realize that they have these experiences and these backgrounds and these traumas.
The injustice I describe is a lifestyle, a person who experiences injustices as an everyday occurrence with her morning coffee. She has no courtroom or an attentive jury to plead her case. The media is not concerned with another copycat scenario of mother, kids, abusive husband.
At some point I began screaming frantically and curled myself up in a little ball, protecting my face and body with my arms as much as possible. The beating seemed to last forever, and I began wondering if it was ever going to stop.
The rewards are economic.
I don't understand how the rewards can be classified categorically as always economic. Access counts for something.
So you're saying that
knowing the doors are open to you or not closed to you based on random criteria like your gender or your race counts for something in how you feel about the society you live in.
I agree with Bob, and I guess I don't know.
Last week in class, we were talking about, I don't even remember exactly what it was that we were talking about, but Nancy and Bob started to sort of like collaborate and agree on something.
A larger percentage of the rewards of affirmative action tend to go to upper class African Americans who have more to begin with. Underclass African Americans get such a small percentage of the affirmative action awards. The program doesn't seem to be working.
I have to agree with him on this stance because I really don't feel like I wouldn't think that I wouldn't feel comfortable with my kids getting affirmative action.
Here were two people that I would have never thought could agree. We're having this conversation, they were agreeing about something, and it wasn't so much they were agreeing as how they were talking.
I think this class really opened my mind to a lot of different ways of looking at things. I think that a good example was last week when Bob brought up the issue of having affirmative action just for people with maybe a certain social economic standpoint. When I first heard that come out of his mouth, I guess I hadn't really given it too much thought before that. My first reaction was, that's not a good thing to do. I don't really agree with that. But, you know, as the class progressed and, you know, his views came out more and more, some people were opposed to it, and some people were for it. And, you know, people articulated their statements, and then after class we spoke about it. A group of us got together and I spoke about it with my family afterwards. And I agree, you know, with a lot of the arguments that you gave, and I think that happened to me several times in this course, and it was really interesting.
that emotion really forged kinds of connections. It brought people in a way that enabled them to do the hard work that goes along with attempting to understand and to be open to challenging one's own way of looking at the world. Without laughter, without passion, without frustration, that kind of engagement could not occur.
We had fun. And one of the ways that you can tell that we had fun is that people laughed. And it wasn't just the laughter of heckling or the laughter of an individual enjoying someone else's joke or the laughter of discovery, but it was the laughter of a group of people connecting. Difference between what Susan and I are doing and the way conventional law school classes often proceed is that we are inviting the students to help teach themselves and each other. We are not presenting the law as something that only we have mastered. We are presenting legal problems as an invitation or a challenge for the students to collaborate, to come up with innovative or creative solutions that no one has thought of before. And it's the process of collaboration that makes it possible to move beyond conventional wisdom.
In the other classes, if at anything we're stuck in this yay-nay conversation where I'm listening to kids spew out typical responses because they know it's fashionable. And here, we spew out, in jest almost, those responses, tear them apart, and then stare at professors who say, now give me real solutions. And once they said that to me, I was like, ah, yes, this is what I've been waiting for.
Usually when I'm talking about these topics, it's to defend it or to speak to someone who has no idea where I'm coming from. And so you come out with these ready, set, sort of quick ways that they can understand what you're talking about, and you don't necessarily reflect yourself, how you feel about it. And since I didn't feel like I had to defend anything here because we all sort of knew what the issues were, if we didn't, we were reading other people who were doing the defending for me. I started to evaluate truly what my own opinions were, and I was surprised that some of them were not necessarily either as strong, or even some of them went as far as to change on different topics. And so I thought that was a really enlightening thing that I totally did not expect when I came into the class.
Because we all went in there with the assumption that we had a perspective that was right on something. That if other people just figured out, listened to us and came to understand what we were saying, then we could move on. You know, we'd get to have the answer and we'd be able to move on. And I think that was one of the sort of subtexts of the class, was learning not to assume that. Learning to respect the idea that everybody might continue to have a different perspective.
I really needed this course for my sanity. I mean, which isn't to say that's the only function that it served. I did.
Or that it worked.